it's still family and values. And today's topic, like I was telling you, is trauma. 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 When you hear trauma, what comes to your mind? Are you in any way going through any particular trauma that you feel you're lost and you cannot be repaired? It's time for you to listen. It's time for you to get yourself together. It's time for you to help someone as well. Someone close to you, someone maybe your next door neighbor. You may notice it even in a young child, from one issue or the other, accidents, incidences and all that. And that's why we have a clinical psychologist in the house, in person of Abideji Olusoya. He is from ROB Care Foundation, Trauma Care Foundation, ROB Trauma Care Foundation. And it's an honor to have you this morning.
Good morning, ma.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Thank you, ROB, for always supporting us and
being available
at no time or the other,
I also say thank you too.
Okay, so how do we define trauma? So a layman who may have seen someone or even going through it and never even know, wow, so this is what they call trauma. And it's like a big language, even though it's few letter words.
Yeah, it's like a big language, but let's define it simply.
Yeah.
It's a psychological or emotional response to an event or series of events that overwhelms an individual's capacity to cope. So trauma is not, there is no golden definition for it, because trauma is subjective. Experience of trauma is unique to individuals. Remember, I said events that overwhelms an individual's capacity to cope. So meaning that what is traumatic to me may not be traumatic to you. And what is traumatic to you may not be traumatic to me. So it is based on the psychological energy. That is the energy within your emotion that you carry. So trauma is subjective, is unique. So it is based on how it affects you that we can say that, oh, this person is going through trauma. So that person that gets overwhelmed may now begin to manifest global symptoms of trauma.
Now, coming to that global symptoms, I know that in as much as it has to do with individuality, like what you said, what would be Mr. A's trauma would not be Mr. B. But I believe there are common signs that one will look out for and know that this person is traumatic in a certain way, and understand. So what are those signs or those common signs that one will look at, especially in the family, around you, friends, and just feel like this person is being traumatic or is going through traumatic situations?
Yes, when we talk about signs, they are in various categories. We have intrusive signs that are called intrusive symptoms. We have avoidant symptoms. We have alterations to cognitive capacity and mood. Then we also have alteration to our arousal and reactivity. For instance, let me talk about intrusive signs. We are talking about flashbacks of the events. People that go through one traumatic event or the other, they often kind of relive, there is a flashback in their memory of that event. So that's what we call reliving the events. There is traumatic dreams.
Okay.
They experience traumatic dreams relating to the events. Yes. Then they also kind of make conscious efforts, involuntary efforts to avoid psychological experiences or triggers or event relating to that event. So those can be intrusive symptoms. Then when we talk about avoidant symptoms, this can be withdrawing from relation,
Very
isolating
common.
yourself
Which is very common.
from your loved ones.
Which is very common.
Then also, we can talk about arousal, alteration to our arousal. That is talking about this person. You notice that this person reaction to others is now changing.
It's changing.
It's changing from relational to irritability. This person is becoming more aggressive,
more defensive.
Then this person, in terms of having healthy sleeping pattern, this person is now having awkward and disturbed sleep. Then also when we talk about alteration to cognitions and moods, we are talking about concentration. They have a shattered sense of concentration. Also, they also experience withdrawal from others. Then also their sense of self, others, and the world become shattered. So those are little signs that you can begin to see to say that,
this person is going through
a traumatic episode. So they are just signs, but they can't say in absolute until you probe deeper.
Now, for someone who is manifesting any of the symptoms, how does unresolved trauma affect family relationship? Like you talked about the alteration to arousal or avoidance. Let's talk about that. I was discussing one of my cousins recently, and knowledge has not taken us this deep. Years back in the 90s. And what we know was that they just locked him up. He was my cousin. He finally passed on years then. We were just talking, and he was going through, do we say trauma or depression at that time? But what they found that the mother knows that is thinking mental state of mind. Was weird, and they cannot really understand it. So what they do is lock him up in the room. Now, in talking about trauma, unresolved trauma, how can it affect family relationship? How bad can it get? How bad?
Thank you very much. When I talk about unresolved trauma, remember I said that trauma can be overwhelming to the extent of overwhelming our capacity to cope. That event is like a trigger that sends waves of thoughts that shattered existing belief. And when you look at cognitive behavioral trajectory, it moves from event to thoughts, then to emotion. In fact, the energy we carry is our emotion, being recharged by what we feed ourselves on that forms our beliefs. But the moment an event becomes so significant to the extent of shattering that belief, remember, most of these events that are traumatic, they are negative. So expect that the waves of thoughts that it will send to recharge your emotional energy are negative thoughts, which in a way drains your capacity. And those thoughts that are negative now overwhelms what you believe in before. The way you see yourself, the way you see people around you, the way you see the world. Let's take, for example, a young girl that got molested sexually by a male person, gender. And that event is not properly dealt with. Some of the thoughts that may likely be ingrained in that younger may be that men are beasts. And imagine this kind of orientation is, not dealt with and is extended with that lady into marriage. Of course, men are beasts to her includes her husband, includes the men in her world. And that tends to affect our relationship with them. And you expect that whenever such a lady is among the population of men, she would rather be on guard than to relate effectively
with them.
But we know that, because those thoughts became overwhelming on the cognitive states, they now form a belief of that person, which is contrary to the reality. Because if you say that men are beasts, and you think that men are beasts, does that mean that your pastor, who is a man, is also a beast? So that is how unresolved trauma can affect family relationship.
Now, what are the challenges in addressing family trauma? I'll give you a very typical example. Of recent, we lost a big auntie in our family circle, very big family circle, but she's like the one holding everybody. And they buried her this past weekend. And everybody in the family is going through one issue of trauma because of her death. Like, you can literally, when you call somebody, the first thing they say, I wish this person was here, I would have spoken. She's such a big sis like that. Like, she could talk to everybody, give you that listening ear. And her death, was as a result of terminal sickness. Not that we didn't know, but I think it was when the process started that she died. So for that, it's like a family is going through a traumatic episode. Now, not dealing with each and everyone. In situations like that, what are the challenges in addressing the complete family? Because it's not a case of one person this one is hitting. It's like when somebody loses a father or a mother, is a collective.
Like
so how do you address such challenges?
Thank you very much. Yes, there are challenges associated with addressing such. First of all, costs, because trauma can only be addressed at best by psychotherapy, and psychotherapy is not cheap. It is only when it's comorbid with other challenges, mental health challenges such as psychotic conditions, or is becoming severe, gravitating to suicide or feeling of taking your life, that you cannot be considering pharmacotherapy, which is medication. But let's talk about psychotherapy. It's not even cheap. So, and that can prevent people thinking in that line. Because when trauma happens, when people go through traumatic experience, the first thing, most especially if they lose a loved one, just like you have said, they need to grieve effectively.
How do you grieve?
How do you grieve effectively?
Because someone is looking out there now and is grieving at this point, and what you are going to be releasing this morning will be a source of help. So, what are the stages of grieving effectively?
Crying,
so that it will not become a traumatized situation for such a person.
Yes, grieving has stages, and is normal you go through grieving stages effectively. So grieving is not out of place; it's a normal thing. But when it gets prolonged beyond some time duration, then it becomes abnormal. Because if you grieve first month, 2 months, you should begin to getting more relieved. But if you don't get to that point of relief, and you can get locked in your grief, and that can import other challenges to it.
Okay. Let's take our word on marble and we'll go for our commercial. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. And we're talking about, before we went for that word on marble and the advert, we're talking about people who are mourning, grieving. How do you grieve without it leading to trauma? Is it just cry? Allow them to cry. Oh, if they don't cry, hey, it's not a good thing. No, that's what many people say. So apart from crying, being in that fragile, what are the steps we can really take these people through for them to really grieve and heal?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, crying is not out of place. In fact, we often encourage that you can cry, but there are other alternatives.
Okay.
Crying can, for instance, if you are doing a psychological forgiveness, in a situation whereby probably, you have some symptoms such as guilt feeling, we can do psychological forgiveness where when you are ventilating, when you are emotionally ventilating, you may cry, which is part of the therapy. However, let me run us down through the stages of grieving. Somebody that experienced loss of a loved one will first of all be in a state of denial. That is a state of shock. That's, how can this happen? How can this happen to me? Why me? And things like that. Then followed by that, the person will enter into anger mode, resentment, irritability, because it's shocking. And you don't expect them to be in a normal mode of operation. Because something happened, a loss, a feeling of loss is there. Then after that, they enter into bargaining mode, asking themselves different bargaining questions. What if? These questions are not towards themselves. They are towards a higher power. What if I do this? Can this be reversed? But of course, what has happened has happened. Then, knowing full well that bargaining will work, they may enter into a state of learned helplessness, which may prone them into depression. Depression is the complete breakdown of cognitive capacity. And if at that point, professional intervention needs to come in, which will now help them, take them to the last stage, which is acceptance of the event. Not necessarily them being happy, but then integrating the loss into their life. Seeing it as what has happened, something I don't have power over. Life has to move on. Then seeing the event as part of your reality. But when they are able to go through that stage successfully, in fact, a whole lot of things needs to come in. There is something called trauma-informed CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Because when people go through trauma, when they experience traumatic events, remember I said those events send waves of negative thoughts that change the existing belief. If that cognition is not reframed back to how it was, then these people may not be able to navigate that trauma successfully.
Okay.
So
I have some questions. Joy, please. We have called for these questions. I left a lot of pain in between my chest and my stomach. How can a 15-year-old teen deal with ulcer? I don't know why, but we're talking about trauma here. Now, another question from the same person. My husband left me and ran away to outside the country with his ex-girlfriend after 2 children. The same person is also asking, my daughter left the house and ran to a place I don't know last month, texting that my attitude wants her to commit suicide. What do you think? should be the
Yeah,
step
thank
to
you
take?
very much. Yes, when it comes to trauma, it's not just about losing a loved one. Family dynamics, familiar factors can also prone somebody to traumatic experience. In fact, the daughter that left the home is not really the problem. She's just a reflection of the family dysfunction, meaning that family needs help.
So what would you advise her to do right now? Because I think she's in a dilemma now. The
Go for
confused state.
therapy.
Her husband left
She
her
needs
2 years
help.
ago with 2 children. And I think that is, something she's finding difficult to understand, just like denial, like you said. Now, this person is not dead, but just left.
Yes.
You understand? And now finding out that, okay, he left with somebody maybe better than me, or feels like left with the ex and left him with the children. Now, one of the child is also leaving the house because she felt, that's what she told the mom, that the mom is, dealing with how that the attitude of the mom is almost making her to commit suicide. So how do we, help her to deal with this kind of situation?
Yes. Let's try and be mindful of some factor in that dynamics. She said something that her mom's attitude, that attitude, where is it flowing from? Is it from her personal traumatic experience based on her marital, challenges?
Yeah, challenges, problems.
Showing that the mother, pointing to the fact that the mother herself might need help.
Yeah, they both need help. The family.
The entire family, both mother
The
and
entire
child,
family
need
needs help.
help.
So in such a situation, apart from the individual therapy that she needs or the daughter needs to deal with the situation, there must be what we call family therapy.
Do you deal with this kind of thing at home?
In fact, this is what we do.
Okay, so you can get back to us on the same line, and immediately after the show, so that we can see how we can help you. That's what Family and Value is all about. And thank God you have clinical psychologists in the house from Arrogate Trauma Care Foundation. Joy, over to you.
Okay, so now I want to share 2 relatable experiences with you. I remember when I lost my mom about 25 years ago, thereabouts. My elder sister didn't cry. She was just moping, and her skin was turning reddish. In fact, at the point we were beating her to cry, but she was just staring. Now, we were the ones crying. At the point, they locked us in the room and I was crying. But now, years later, I discovered that I still feel that grief. She is not, in fact, sometimes I'm the one that have to remind them that at so time is the memorial, or this is when we lost. That's when they're not like, oh yeah, it's true. I feel like I'm the one that still have, I was like, one day I had to tell her, I said, but when mommy died, you didn't cry. You were just, now, for somebody, for 2 situations like that, is it that I didn't heal completely, or she, because she didn't cry, she healed and moved faster? Relating it to the experience I had yesterday, now that's another thing that even when I see it, I'm still trying to get off the images. For people who have witnessed accident scenes, who have been there when somebody is being killed in their presence, like when we had the answers, the communal wars and all that. How do such people overcome those traumatic experiences? Now, it's not that directly they lost someone, but they witnessed the scene. And that's another thing that would take your sleep. It becomes, even when you're inside, you start jetting. How do people recover from such a traumatic experience?
Okay, first of all, let me start with your personal experience. Yes, it's not that you remembering or being conversant with the memory of your mom does not mean that you have not recovered. It just shows that you have integrated the loss as part of your reality. Yeah. We call something post-traumatic stress disorder. Yes. That condition often happen after the event. When you don't express your feeling when that traumatic event occurred, it doesn't equate that you have forgotten it. What you just successfully do is that you repress the situation into a part of your mind called unconscious. And unconscious is the domain of habits, whether positive, or negative. So let me quickly give us the structure of the mind.
Very quick.
We have conscious, we have preconscious, and we have unconscious. Yes, and unconscious. And these three parts get to be active based on some situation. For instance, as we are now, what is driving us is the conscious aspect of our mind. But the moment this conscious is out of the way, the unconscious pull away the preconscious. And what you have repressed there now pull out like a time bomb and begin to govern your habits. So for such people, we may not categorically say that they are way over the event. They may have suppressed it. But later on in life, when they experience some situation that knock off their consciousness, so they cannot begin to experience post-traumatic stress disorder because what is preventing that, what they suppress, is out of the way. For instance, people like that, if they have marital challenges, they will now begin to experience symptoms. They will think it's depression, anxiety, but they are just like signal to what, to the fact that what they have suppressed is already, because when that thing is coming out, it pull out a lot of other things with it. Now, coming to what we experienced recently, yes, you can be a primary victim of an event or a secondary, which we call vicarious trauma. But trauma is trauma. You have to deal with it the way the primary victim also deal with it.
Thank you so much.
It's so good to really have you this morning. So, to the woman, if you still want to enjoy the benefit of ROB Trauma Care Foundation, like I said, you can call, send a message to this line, and we'll see how we can connect you with ROB Trauma Care Foundation, and just one, a word in 60 seconds. So our viewers out there who might be developing or having issues, relating to our topic this morning.
Right. Thank you very much. To our viewers out there that are going through some traumatic situation or the other, navigating them, I just want you to know that the situation does not define you. In fact, it's just showing that you are vulnerable, which is normal. It is okay not to be okay. The key thing you have to do is speak up, seek help, and those help are there. And that is why we are here this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Joy, over to you.
All right, thank you so much. And to everyone grieving, our sympathies are with you, but then you need to get out of it and seek help when needed and when necessary. Thank you for being a part of the show this morning. I'm Princess Joy Eyo Abu. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay blessed.
Tomorrow is going to be another beautiful day, and I don't want you to miss it, because today is still fulfilled by the grace of the Almighty God. Whatever or wherever you're going through one sad situation or the other, we pray God will be merciful and remember you for good. Tomorrow is going to be another wonderful time. I also be looking at calling your partner and no response. Just go through your mind. Can't just call madam like this. I don't know. You start talking, nagging already before you see your partner. What goes through your mind when you call your spouse and he or she is not there to begin at that time? We'll be discussing that tomorrow. We're having a gentleman in the house, so stay tuned for that tomorrow. And stay tuned for the next program after Family and Value this morning. We love you. My name is Romina Lori. A big shout out to everyone who has made today's program a success.